Colleagues, good morning. And I would like to welcome you to this briefing. And as you know, the briefing is on the state that we are experiencing with the cyclone Eloise. We've got the Minister of Cooperative and the MECs from the three provinces that are largely hit by this disaster to come and brief us on the state of readiness and the interventions that have been put in place to deal with this cyclone. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will hand over to Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma to give us a briefing on where we are at the moment. Thank you very much, Minister. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all the ministers, wherever they are, deputy ministers, MECs, and government officials. And I'd like to thank the members of the media who have joined us for this briefing. And a very good morning to you, South Africans. We thought we should just call this briefing to give an update on the tropical storm that landed in South Africa and we've had heavy rains that have battered many parts of our country. As you would recall, the tropical storm started as a cyclone in the Indian Ocean, and our emergency services and our disaster management centers in the provinces were mobilized, and also the IMC that deals with the disaster was mobilized so that we could be ready for the storm. And indeed, the ministers started meeting on Saturday. Our officials had already started meeting, guided also by the information that comes from the South African Weather Service that tracks the storm and informs us where things are. There are three provinces that have been affected: Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and northern KZN, especially Mkhanyakude. In Limpopo, it's been mainly Vhembe and Mopane. Correction. In Mpumalanga, it's been mainly Ehlanzeni, but other parts of Limpopo as well. The severe floods that we have had have disrupted some of the traffic because the trees have been falling on the roads, but fortunately the emergency services have been very responsive to make sure that they remove those trees. But some floods have cut out communities, and the local municipalities are dealing with that. And of course, some of the government buildings also have been affected by the storm, including also the
Use unlimited data from only $250 a month. No contracts.
The short-term measures to assist and to relieve the pressures from families, from communities. And of course, government is working together with NGOs that are helping us. And government is working as a whole. We have ministers of finance, social development, human settlement, transport, a whole range of ministers who are dealing with this matter, but also MECs at provincial level, at local level also. We are working with also SALGA and the House of Traditional Leaders. So we are working as a team across all spheres of government and working with stakeholders. So at the moment, we want to thank all those who have been able to assist. But we'd also like to call on communities to also work together so that if there is a family that is in trouble, maybe the house is being flooded, they can also assist families, but our services are also there to assist. And we've been having meetings daily from Saturday to get updates so that we are able to really assist communities, families and individuals that need assistance. At this stage, I'll ask maybe the colleagues from the Weather Service to just brief us of where things are quickly, and then I'll ask Dr. Tao and the provinces, the MECs will then give us more details about what has happened province by province, especially in the three provinces, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and KZN. So, back to you, Lungi, and the other colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for that briefing. As you said, Minister, Mr. Sibeko from the South African Weather Service, can you give us a briefing as guided by Minister?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, Honorable Minister. Good morning to all other senior officials that are in attendance. Good morning to members of the media, and good morning to ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ezekiel Sibeko from South African Weather Service. I will be giving this verbal update in terms of the latest the tropical storm Eloise. It has been tracked to have moved now to western parts of Botswana. It is currently have lost most of its intensity, however, still causing some rain over western parts of Northwest during the course of today, that is Tuesday. Moving further on from tomorrow, Wednesday, this remains of this storm is expected to merge with another system and will start having heavy rains or potential heavy rains over eastern parts of Northern Cape, western parts of Northwest, the Free State, as well as down to the eastern half of the Eastern Cape. The Weather Service is currently monitoring the situation, and weather warnings will be issued for those places in terms of the heavy rains that can be expected out of that storm. That is for tomorrow, Wednesday, as well as Thursday. With regards to the provinces that were affected earlier in the week, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal. Currently, it is still cloudy over those provinces, but very little rain is expected from today up until Friday over those provinces. So moving on forward, the emphasis now shifts to of the country, that is eastern parts of Northern Cape, western parts of Northwest, through the Free State and down to the Eastern Cape. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you for that briefing, Mr. Svego. And before I move over to the MECs from the province, I would just like to check with Minister Sisulu if there's something that she would like to add before we move forward. Okay, we'll come back to the minister. We can move swiftly to the Limpopo province. MEC Makamu, can you go ahead with your briefing?
Thanks, Program Director. Greetings to the Minister, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and Minister Sisulu, and other colleagues who are here from other provinces, and greetings to the media people. What I can say is that for today in the province, we are seeing very little rain, but already we have received rain, especially in the Wembe and the Capricorn districts. We have been dealing with the challenges that we have. I must indicate that as for yesterday night, there has been one house which collapsed and injured 2 people which have been admitted in the hospital. It's Wakado local municipality. But our teams are there as the sector departments in the province are also supporting through their resources. As we speak, we are just awaiting if we will be able to come back to the province. But as for now, we are able to manage the situation. There are some few bridges which have been washed away. The Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure in the province is busy handling. But also we had seen where trees were falling and closing or hindering transports. We have already been able to clear that with the Department of Transport and Sandra. So I can briefly say that as for now, as a province, we are able to handle. Tomorrow we will be visiting some of these houses which have been badly affected, just to give them support and see their situation as political leadership, just to ascertain ourselves the work that is being done by our officials on the ground. That is in a nutshell and in a summary, I can say, Minister, that as a province, we think we are capable, or we are still handling the situation to the satisfactory to our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, MEC. We'll move over to the MEC Msibi, and then MEC from KZ and MEC Shomoga.
Mlungisi, before the MECs comes in, may I please that colleagues mute their mics. Colleagues who are not speaking, if they can mute their mics so that the background that is coming to the fore doesn't come again. If colleagues can mute their mics and only colleagues who are speaking, then they can unmute so that they are able to speak. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, MEC Msibi.
Greetings, Minister and the team, the MEC is currently went to the doctor. The acting executive is going to take over the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, honorable ministers. We have to just highlight, because I hear that we were asked to explain on the issue of the fatality in Mpumalanga, the one fatality. Otherwise, the honorable minister has just actually highlighted in summary the issues that have actually happened in Mpumalanga. Yes, indeed, in have one fatality. That is a young boy, a 5-year-old boy, who actually drowned. They were trying to cross the river, but unfortunately, he got swept away by the heavy current of the river, and unfortunately, the body was discovered that the young boy had actually passed on. And I think we currently are in a process with the SAPS honorable ministers that is in the Mashishing area as well as in Pilgrim's Rest. The affected people who also have vanished, but this has not been confirmed as yet because they SAPS. By yesterday, it was reported that they had not found the people whom they indicated may have swept away by the rivers as well. But in the Masoi, the young boy of 5 years old indeed was confirmed as a fatality. Thank you, Minister.
And thank you very much for that. MEC Shomuka, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mjali. Greetings to Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and other ministers present and deputy ministers. Greetings to MECs, DGs, HODs, the media, and all fellow South Africans. Chair, the minister have tried to summarize what happening in terms of the tropical storm. However, we want to indicate that when we receive information or report from the South African Weather Services who are working together as a province, we activated our disaster management team across the province. However, we focus more in 3 districts, which is Umkhanyakude and Zululand and King Cetshwayo. We must indicate that the municipalities that they have already under Zululand, under Abaqulusi municipality, Minister, and we want to report that yesterday late at night we received a report that there is one fatality that happened at Abaqulusi at what 13. The 14-year-old boy was thrown yesterday under KwaShoba. We want to send our condolences to the affected family. As a province, we have been with our people who have been working with the municipalities to alert our people on this tropical storm, and we want to appreciate the role also played by Nkosazana and Nkulu and the councillors who try to also inform the communities about this tropical storm. Minister, I won't give more details, because if I can give more details, I might take long, but I must indicate that there are around 110 houses that have been partially destroyed through this tropical storm, especially under Umkhanyaku district, coming from different local municipalities, which is Jozini, Mhlabia Lingana, and Big Five. And as a provincial government working municipalities, we have given our people a short-term intervention while we are working on the long-term, how we're going to assist our people. But we make sure that there is no person that would say he or she don't have a shelter, especially under these difficult times. We're provided with food parcels, working also with social development. We gave them blankets, tents, sponges, and mantras. We want to appreciate, Minister, that we are working together as government, irrespective of a sphere, be it is a national or it's a provincial or it's a local, because we are a caring government, as the people they know. Will continue to provide support and work with our people, because we believe that working together we can save more lives rather than saying this must be done by a certain institution. We must also, Minister, indicate that even under Upongolo, the 7 houses that have completely destroyed through these heavy rains, we are working with relevant provincial department and also national department to how can we assist those households. However, we must report that we've given them a temporal shelter, so that at least they will have a shelter while we're still engaging. How can we do more to assist our people? I must, Minister, report that as from the 24th of January, we've activated JOC is sitting on the daily basis to get reports and work together to come with solution how we're going to assist our people. All the structures from disaster management have been activated, and we are on the ground trying to assess the impact made by this tropical storm. We are going to, from time to time, update our South Africans, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, on the impact made by this storm. I thank you very much, Mr. Mtshali.
We thank you very much for that, MEC. Takalani, as you prepare to take questions from the media houses and from the WhatsApp groups, I will ask Dr. Tau from the National Disaster Management Center to give us a short briefing to wrap up. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson, Mr. Mtshali, and good morning to Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and to all the other ministers, the MECs, deputy ministers, our communicators, as well as the public at large. Thank you very much for the opportunity. A lot has already been outlined in terms of the response machinery that the state has put in place. I think mine will just be to contextualize this machinery within legislative framework. It's coordinated Disaster Management Act of 2002. And the specific thrust of the Disaster Management Act is that we should promote prevention, preparedness, mitigation, and emergency response in the face of occurrences. Therefore, the focus of the National Disaster Management Center under the able leadership of Minister Dlamini Zuma is to ensure that our country puts in place plans and strategies to prevent the occurrence of disasters. And if they cannot prevent the occurrence, at least come up with preparedness and mitigation measures to ensure that the disasters or hazards do not harm our people, damage infrastructure, and degrade the environment. So this operation happens at the backdrop of the adoption of the National Seasonal Contingency Plan of the country that was approved by Cabinet on the 26th of November 2020. The Seasonal Contingency Plan is meant to prepare for known hazards that will occur during the season, the summer season in particular, which is from September, October until March the following year. So we are still in that season, and the alerts that we received for the season was that we are likely to receive normal to above normal rainfalls. So our country has been ready, as our leaders have expressed, to deal with any hazards that may occur. So based on the provisions of the plan, we have indeed been activating the national structures, and the NDMC is the machinery that coordinates all national structures, including various role players. So the messages that we like to convey to the public, given the fact that one of the hazards that we know will be associated with this season has occurred, are the following. And we want to appeal to the public to observe these safety messages that we are putting across. Firstly, people living in low-lying areas must take special care during storm, as sudden floods might affect them. So take special care to ensure that you don't just cross rivers without checking whether the water could be of the volume that could endanger yourself. Secondly, do not cross through flooded roads or bridges. Use other routes. Even if it means taking a long route, it's better that you delay a little bit than to risk your life or that of other people. Avoid crossing low-lying bridges, streams, and rivers during this time. Never try to walk, swim, or drive in swift-flowing water. Even if the water is 15 centimeters deep, it can sweep you off your feet. So we don't really wish to be in those unfortunate situations because we have underestimated the water that we get confronted with. To motorists also, we appeal that they must be very careful and avoid driving through flooded areas. The next one, motorists must drive to and park at safer areas. If you realize you cannot cross this stream, please drive to and park at safer areas than to park next to the stream. And if the volume of the water increases, then you are at harm's way. The next one is the public should monitor weather alerts through the radios and television. We have just received an update from our colleague from the South African Weather Service, and there are regular updates that are issued. We heartily urge the public to continue watching those alerts. The next one is that the public should contact their municipal disaster management centers or the nearest police station, or call the National Emergency numbers, which are 112 or 10177 or 107 when faced with threats. I would like to repeat those numbers. 112, or the second one, 10177, the third one, 107. The next safety message is teach your children about the dangers of floods. It is very important that children be taught about the dangers of floods so that they don't underestimate or see the flooded river as something that could be an entertainment area and that could then endanger their lives. Keep your important documents in a water-resistant containers. It is possible that the house might not be flooded, but you might have water getting into the house. And if you put important documents such as certificates, IDs, and so on and so forth on the floor or in areas that will be exposed to water, then that could lead to damages. Please keep them in water-resistant containers. The next one is have emergency numbers at hand. We've just read those emergency numbers. Please keep them at hand. Next one, be especially vigilant at night when it is harder to recognize potentially a deadly road hazard. Be very careful at night, especially when you drive, because you may not realize that you are approaching or getting into a stream that could cause danger to our lives. The next one is that we should not camp or park your car along rivers, or as that will also expose you to risks. The next one is if you are on foot, be aware that low moving water can also be dangerous during flood conditions. The next one is where possible, communities are encouraged to try and avoid contact with any flood waters. You know that flood waters can also be associated with waterborne diseases and other risks, objects that can cause injuries. Please avoid contact with flood waters. The last one is, in some instances, communities are encouraged to stay indoors when heavy rains are continuing. We appeal that you only leave the house when it is necessary, especially during this time, and also as we are facing the scourge of the COVID disaster. So we appeal to our public to continue to be risk averse to avoid exposure to hazards. And please continue teaching our children so that they can become force multipliers that will ensure that the risk avoidance messages are promoted among our people. I thank you very much.
We thank you, Dr. Tau, for that detailed announcement. Takalani, I want to check with you if we have any questions from the broadcasters before we move on to the social media questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mchali. If we can maybe afford broadcasters who are here an opportunity, SABC, ENC, and Newsroom Africa, to pose their questions if they do have questions before we go to the WhatsApp line. Thanks. SABC, ENCA Newsroom, if you have any questions.
TK, I think we can safely move on to the messages and the questions that were posed on the social platforms.
Thank you, Mr. Mchali. On the WhatsApp questions, I only have one question, and the question is coming from Maluti Useng from SABC News, and the question is: how many people died as a result of the storm, the total number in the whole country. The question is how many people have died countrywide as a result of the storm? Thanks. That is the only question that I have for now.
Okay, TK, it means that the briefing was very clear. There aren't too many questions on that. And then I think I will just allow the minister to maybe respond to that question.
Thank you very much. From what we know, it's 2 people, one in Mpumalanga and one in KZN.
Thank you very much, Minister. TK, if we don't have any other questions from the WhatsApp, can we move over to the socials?
Thank you, Mr. Mchale. All questions that are coming from the social media platforms are the ones that are coming from WhatsApp here. So I can see colleagues are typing from WhatsApp groups. I want to understand that maybe they've started they've just started typing their questions now, because I can see it's now that they are typing. But so far, I have another one from Ndumiso Milo from Shinua News, and he said to add on the questions that was asked before by the SABC Maluti Ubuseng. He said to add to the above question, how many were displaced and estimated cost of damage? That is another question that we have from Ndumiso Milo from Shinua News. Back to you, Mlu. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think also that one was covered in terms of the minister saying that there is still assessment that is going on in terms of how many people were displaced, because we are getting reports from the various provinces at this stage. Unless the minister wants to have another bite at it, I think we can safely say that we can bring this briefing to a close. Minister, do you want to respond to that question?
I think we can ask the MECs to answer in terms of what is known up to now, because MEC Hlomuga did say how many, but he can elaborate, and the other MECs. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. MEC Hlomuga, I'll start with you. Would you like to elaborate on the number of people that are displaced in the province?
No, thank you very much, Minister and Mr. Mjadi. I think I highlighted, but I can give details. Under Umkhanyakude district, 280 households have been affected through this storm, and 916 people coming from that household have been affected. And we indicated that we have 175 houses that have completely destroyed by the storm, and that was under Umkhanyakude, and a number of roads and bridges that have been also affected. But the Department of Transport, they are dealing with that. At Zululand district, under Abaqolosi, It's one household that have been affected. That it's from Ward 13, and we received report that there were 2 boys that were injured and they were taken to hospital, but as we speak, they've already discharged, and we are monitoring the situation. I think I've reported about Upongolo, that how many household or people that have been affected, where I said 7 houses have completely destroyed, from Ward 7, Ward 8, and Ward 9, and 6 houses are partially destroyed from Ward 2 and Ward 10. Yeah, I think basically, Minister and Mr. Mchali, those are the stats so far. Remember, we indicated that our team, they are on site, they were still busy doing assessment. The number might change because of the assessment that we are busy dealing with. So that tomorrow when we report for a different number, it won't be a problem because the assessment is an ongoing process. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MC. MC Makamu.
Thanks, Mr. Mchali, for the opportunity. As we received the report, about 78 families have been displaced due to the collapse of the to a community hall, and about 7 houses were in Musina, wherein they were displaced and got accommodation somewhere. Like we indicated that we just received 1 house that collapsed yesterday night, where 2 people were injured and they were admitted in the Elim Hospital in Makado area. But the areas where we see damages, it's mainly with bridges. There is a bridge which links some 2 communities around Makado area, which it's called Chedze and Vuvi, collapsed completely. But also we see the Saselaman police station in the Konis Chavane was also flooding, but they were able to be assisted. There is a road collapse one in the ruling, which is collapsing. So as and when information is coming, we will be able to continue to be updating. But also, in other areas, and they were said by Dr. Tau, that human settlement in the province was already trying to assess how they could be able to intervene in these houses. But due to the persistence of rains, they withdraw a little bit to make sure that water subsides so they can be able to do that. But we'll keep on updating the numbers as and when new changes take place. That's what I can say as for now, Mr. Mchani.
Thank you, MEC. HOD, very briefly from HOD from Mpumalanga.
Yes, thank you very much. We can actually indicate that yes, we've got some houses that were totally and some structurally damaged. Starting with the city of Mbombela, we had 5 houses that were structurally damaged, partially, not totally. But it is in Bushbuck Ridge that we have experienced a large number of houses and also families that were actually left displaced and had to be accommodated somehow with the temporary shelter. That's about 60 houses in Bushbuck Ridge, especially in the area called Mkuhlu as well as the Calcutta. In that, 7 people were injured due to the damages that occurred in houses. And then we have 10 houses that were also damaged in Komazi municipalities, and those damages are being attended to as we speak. At 2 houses and as well as 1. 2 houses were totally destroyed in Tabachweu, and only 1 was flooded. In other words, the damage was just relating to the flooding into the house, but the structure is still intact. Just like I mentioned, we have only 1 fatality currently by the SAPS water diving wing so far. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen from the media, thank you very much. We will continue. Mrs. have said.
Mr. Mchali?
Yes, CK?
Before you go, there are a few questions, I think 3 questions that have just come in.
Yeah. There are 2 questions. Yes, quickly, TK, let's take them.
Yes, there's 2 questions from Kaelihle Kumalo from ENCA. The first question is, in terms of financial support, do we have an estimate of how much we have used so far to assist those affected by tropical storm? And the second question, still from Kaelihle, it's what can we say to South Africans to protect themselves as the storm may come back to our country? And the last question is from Nika Richards from The Citizen. And the question is, will the provinces affected by tropical storm Eloise be declared disaster areas? That's it from my side. And thank you very much, Mr. Mchan. Back to you.
Thank you very much, CK. Let me first call on Dr. Tau to respond to the questions because some of them he had already touched on. Thank you very much, Dr. Tau.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mchali, and thanks to the media representatives for raising these questions. I'll just respond to them in the order in which they were raised. The first question is how much was used or has been used to provide assistance. We first need to understand that this current operation is multidisciplinary and multi-sectoral. It is impossible to immediately quantify in that. So that's the answer for the first one. The second one, the messages that can be given to the public to protect themselves. We have gone through about 14 safety tips that can be shared with the media. And I think they were part of the statement that was issued by our minister, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, on Friday. We will continue issuing those messages for the public to observe in order to remain safe. The last one is whether the affected areas will be declared disaster areas. Just to point out that declaring a state of disaster is an acknowledgement that the resources that you have at your disposal have been overstretched or are not sufficient to deal with the occurrence. At this stage, the impact of the tropical storm is still being dealt with in terms of evacuation measures, rescue measures, and relief measures. Once all these measures have been implemented sufficiently and sector departments and municipalities are realizing that with the available resources, they cannot cope and they need extraordinary measures. And those extraordinary measures could be that they want to introduce regulations to regulate certain issues. They want to pass bylaws on an urgent basis. They want to put in place directions to deal with the occurrence, or they want to access funds from the national fiscus, in particular the contingency reserve. Then we will then approach the executive with a motivation for a decision on that matter. At this stage, the preoccupation of our leaders is to ensure that response efforts are coordinated in a very impactful way to save our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tau. TK, if you have any more questions, I will ask the colleagues from the media to just continue to forward them to yourself, and then we will forward them to the relevant department for further processing and answering. And as we close, I will just call on Minister Dlamini Zuma to just maybe come in and close the session for us.
Thank you very much, Lungi, TK, and all the colleagues. Thanks to the ministers and MECs and officials and the ladies and gentlemen of the media. I think it's important to just stress that we must try and listen to the radio and to TV to get the warnings so that we know where the rains are going to come, and we can then try and be safe and stay indoors, and also take all the measures like Dr. Dawe has been saying, giving us in terms of not trying to go through flood water or flooded rivers or bridges, and so that we can really save lives. But we also want to encourage all the officials and who have been working to assist the public to continue doing so, because this is not over yet, and just continue working hard to save lives, to rescue people, and to ensure that those whose houses are destroyed, they can get shelter, they can get food. So, but thank you very much also to the members of the public for cooperating with the councillors, with the locals, with the province, to ensure that we minimize the loss of life and the suffering because of this storm. And thanks to the weather service for keeping us informed and ahead of the storm. Very much.
Oh, thank you, Minister. And with that, we would like to bring this session to a close. Thank you very much, colleagues, for your time.